If you love someone you couldn't be with, it's a sign you have a rare personality. Psychology tricks. Have you ever cared for someone you simply couldn't be with? That kind of love doesn't just sting, it tells you something precise about the man you are. The ache, the pull, the quiet discipline it demands, these aren't signs of weakness. They're evidence of depth. To love and win is the best thing. To love and lose, the next best. William Makepeace Thackeray. When you love across a boundary you refuse to cross, marriage vows, timing, distance, values, you reveal uncommon traits. Loyalty when no one is watching, restraint in the face of powerful emotion, the courage to feel fully without acting foolishly. This isn't ordinary infatuation. It's proof you possess a long-term mind, a principled backbone, and an emotional range most men never develop. This kind of love is a forge. It tempers patience, strengthens self-respect, and clarifies what you actually want from partnership. Not convenience, not drama, but alignment, values, timing, reciprocity. Anyone can chase what's available. It takes a rare personality to honor a feeling and a boundary at the same time. Use the moment wisely. A few psychology moves that help. Name the emotion instead of wrestling it. This is grief. This is longing. Zoom out to the long view. Will this choice still honor me in 5 years? Practice self-distancing. What would I advise a friend right now? And channel the energy into growth, training, craft, faith, service, so the feeling refines you instead of ruling you. You're not suppressing love, you're shaping it. If you've been here, take it as confirmation, not that you're doomed to heartbreak, but that you're built for real love. Your capacity is rare. Guard it. Live by your standards. The right story won't require you to betray yourself to feel alive. 1. Understanding the uniqueness of love. When you love someone you cannot be with, don't ever think it's just weakness or foolishness. That is not the truth. What you feel is not ordinary. It is rare, profound, and it reveals something exceptional about who you are. Most people chase appearances, status, or convenience, but you are different. You notice the quiet details, the hidden sparks, the qualities buried beneath the surface. That is a rare personality. Be aware of what this means. You are not wired to settle for shallow connections. You are built to recognize the depth in another person's soul. Don't underestimate that. This isn't about desire or possession. It's about respect. It's about honoring someone's existence even when they don't belong to you. You don't love them because you need them in your life. You love them because you see their value simply in being. That is the sign of a sensitive and powerful spirit. This is what female psychology often fails to explain, why certain men can love without chains, and why that makes them unforgettable. Many people never reach this point of understanding. They confuse love with control, attention with validation, or intimacy with ownership. But you must not. You must recognize that what you feel is proof of your emotional strength, not your weakness. It means you can endure longing without breaking, you can admire without taking, and you can stand in respect without demanding. That is not just maturity, it is mastery. Think of it as one of life's hidden psychology tricks. When you love without needing to possess, you are showing the highest form of self-control and depth. Don't deny this truth. Be proud of it. This is not a curse, but a sign that you live on a deeper frequency than most. And here's the paradox, this pain, this longing, it refines you. It makes you resilient. It strengthens your patience. It sharpens your perception. Men who endure this kind of love often carry a presence that women feel instantly. That is how to fall in love in a way that shakes the ground. It's not loud, not flashy, but steady, undeniable, and rare. Female psychology notices this kind of man even when he says nothing. Your silence carries weight because it comes from a place of discipline and inner strength. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The world may see heartbreak, but what you hold is evidence of rare character. Many men collapse under unfulfilled love, but you must rise with it. You must see it as proof that your soul is capable of more than the ordinary. That is why, when you carry this kind of love, you radiate a different energy. People may not always understand it, but they will feel it. And that energy, that depth, is what makes you magnetic. It's one of those psychology tricks that nobody teaches, but everybody senses. When you don't need to own someone to value them, you stand out in a world obsessed with possession. Don't run from it. Be proud of it. Because in the end, the rarest kind of love is not about holding hands. It's about holding respect, and that is something no distance or circumstance can ever take away from you. 2. Emotional maturity. Loving someone you cannot be with is not just heartbreak. It's proof that you've grown beyond the shallow stage of selfish love, where affection is just a tool to feed your ego or satisfy your needs. That stage is immature, fleeting, and self-centered. But when you love someone deeply, even knowing you may never hold them, claim them, or call them yours, you step into rare territory. That is the moment you show emotional maturity. That is the mark of a high-value man. Think about it. Immature love says, I want you because you make me feel good. Mature love says, I love you even if I cannot have you, because I respect your path. That shift is not weakness, it is strength. It shows you have cultivated patience, discipline, and acceptance. A man who loves without possession radiates something powerful, masculine energy. This is not about being passive. It's about knowing when to let go and when to stand firm. Don't mistake patience for surrender. Don't mistake acceptance for giving up. A strong man knows the difference. When you love in this way, you no longer measure success by whether the woman chooses you. Instead, you measure it by your ability to remain true to yourself. That mindset alone makes you magnetic. Ironically, it's often this very emotional maturity that attracts women more than anything else. Because women instinctively sense when a man doesn't need to control them. They feel it when a man's heart is steady, not desperate. That is why rare men, the ones who can love deeply without chains, are remembered, respected, and desired long after the moment has passed. Remember this. True maturity in love is not about holding tighter. It is about letting go when the time comes. That doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you respect destiny, timing, and free will. It means you carry your love like a flame inside your chest, not a leash around someone's neck. A flame burns quietly, but it still gives light and warmth. That is what women notice, and that is what makes you unforgettable. This inner steadiness is what separates the ordinary from the high-value man. And here's the paradox. The man who can walk away without bitterness is often the one who never truly loses. Why? Because he proves he is not a slave to desire. He is in control of himself. He does not collapse when love cannot be returned. Instead, he continues to love in silence, in patience, and in dignity. That is masculine energy at its highest form. Be that man. The man who doesn't beg. The man who doesn't break. The man who doesn't confuse rejection with worthlessness. The lesson is simple but profound. Love is not always about possession. Sometimes it's about respect. Sometimes it's about letting the person you care for walk their path, even if that path does not include you. Don't be the man who clings. Be the man who accepts. Don't be the man who whines. Be the man who grows. That is the art of emotional maturity. And if you master it, you won't just attract women, you'll command respect from everyone who crosses your path. So, when you find yourself in the ache of loving someone you cannot have, don't see it as a curse. See it as proof that you are rare. Proof that you are stronger than your impulses. Proof that you are a high-value man standing tall in his own truth. That is emotional maturity. That is what makes you unforgettable. 3. Respecting personal freedom. Respecting personal freedom is not just an act of kindness, it is one of the strongest signs of a rare personality. If you have ever loved someone you could not be with, and yet you did not cling, did not try to control, did not demand they bend to your will, then you are already walking on the path of greatness. Most men cannot do this. Most men try to hold, to grasp, to possess. But you must not. True love is not about ownership. It is about freedom. It is about allowing someone to live fully, even if that life is not with you. That is strength. That is discipline. That is emotional mastery. Love is the only freedom in the world because it elevates the spirit, said Khalil Gibran. To love without chains is to show a maturity that few ever achieve. Don't fall into the trap of thinking love is measured by how much you can control. Don't let the world's shallow standards convince you that a perfect relationship means constant attention, constant reassurance, or constant possession. That is weakness. That is insecurity. Instead, remember what Marcus Aurelius, the great emperor of Rome, once said: "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This is old Stoic wisdom. This is how you build an iron mind. Respecting freedom is respecting life itself. And in doing so, you become a man who lives above petty jealousy, above fear, above smallness. In modern life, the temptation to cling is everywhere. Social media teaches you to watch every move, to analyze every post, to measure love in likes and messages. Don't. You must rise above it. Don't stalk, don't beg, don't plead. That is not love, that is weakness. Love must breathe, or it suffocates. Love must have space, or it dies. When you let someone you love live their life without fear or possessiveness, you are not losing, you are winning. This is Stoicism win. Because by choosing freedom over control, you prove that you are not ruled by desperation, but guided by strength. Let me be blunt. Only a rare man can love this way. Only a man with discipline, with courage, with an iron mind can resist the urge to cling. It is easy to grab hold. It is hard to let go. But the hard road is always the higher road. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Master yourself, and you will master love. Respecting freedom doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough to step back. It means you know that real love is not about chains, it's about wings. So I tell you this: be the man who loves with strength, not weakness. Be the man who respects freedom, because that respect will set you apart from the ordinary. Don't chase what is not yours. Don't demand what cannot be given. Instead, stand firm in your dignity, your courage, your old Stoic wisdom. Let go when you must, hold when it is right, and above all, respect the one you love enough to let them be fully themselves. That is not loss. That is victory. That is the rarest kind of love. If you found this message valuable, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more wisdom, and share it with someone who needs this reminder today. Respecting freedom and love is a rare strength, and it shows true emotional maturity. Comment below to remember: I love with respect and freedom. 4. Seeing the relationship from a different perspective. When you love someone you cannot be with, you are forced to see love through a rare and powerful lens that most people never experience, and this shift in perspective can transform not only how you view relationships, but also how you grow as a man. Instead of chasing possession or attachment, you begin to see love as a process, a journey that refines your character and reveals hidden truths about your deepest needs. Don't confuse absence with failure. Be wise enough to realize that sometimes love's greatest gift is not union, but insight. That is the lesson hidden in the ache. You must learn to see how this kind of longing sharpens your awareness, making you more resilient, more patient, and more capable of deep emotional growth. Female psychology often teaches us that attraction isn't just about physical closeness. It's about the way a man's presence, even from afar, shapes a woman's respect and curiosity. When you can love without needing to possess, you embody masculine energy in its purest form, and that's one of the most underrated psychology tricks in relationships. Don't underestimate it. Be alert to how this experience clarifies what you truly need in life, what you may have overlooked, and how you can stand firm in your values. Many men spend decades never understanding how to fall in love without losing themselves. But if you have loved someone you couldn't be with, you have already walked a path that taught you discipline, depth, and inner mastery. This pain is not weakness, it is training. It's a mirror showing you your strengths and the areas where you must grow. Don't ignore the lessons because they are wrapped in heartbreak. That is the paradox. The very love that broke you also built you. In modern life, when everything is fast, superficial, and temporary, this kind of love cuts through the noise and demands that you stop, reflect, and rise above cheap attachments. It shows you that being a high-value man is not about always getting what you want, but about standing strong when life withholds it. The truth is, women are drawn to men who can love without desperation, men who can carry longing without collapsing under it. That self-control is magnetic. That patience is powerful. That presence is unforgettable. Female psychology reveals that women respect men who maintain dignity in the face of distance and impossibility because it signals emotional maturity and inner strength. If you have been there, you know this is not about chasing someone, it is about transforming yourself. You must embrace the idea that love is not only about endings or outcomes, but about the lessons hidden in the process. Every moment of longing, every sleepless night, every silent prayer adds weight to your character. Don't complain. Be grateful. That is how you turn heartbreak into wisdom and wisdom into strength. This is how you learn the ultimate psychology trick. Love is not about control. It is about growth and the man who understands that knows how to fall in love without losing a soul. So remember, if you loved someone you couldn't be with, it's not a curse. It's proof that you are capable of the rarest kind of love, the kind that teaches you to rise above desire and master yourself. And in mastering yourself, you become unstoppable. 5. Patience and acceptance. Loving someone you cannot be with is one of life's most brutal lessons, and yet, it's also one of the greatest teachers of character. It demands patience, but not the kind where you simply sit and wait, staring at the clock, hoping tomorrow will be different. No, this is the patience of a high value man, the kind that proves your strength is not in chasing what slips away, but in controlling yourself when your heart screams otherwise. Don't confuse patience with weakness. That is your proof of masculine energy, the quiet, unshakable force that does not crumble when the world says no. Acceptance is the second edge of this sword. Acceptance does not mean you surrender or give up on love. It means you see reality without painting it with your fantasies. You understand that not every woman you love is meant to walk beside you, no matter how deeply you feel. That's wisdom. That's power. And paradoxically, that's what makes you more attractive. Women are drawn to men who do not cling, who do not beg, who do not collapse under the weight of rejection. To attract women, you must first show that you can stand on your own, calm in the storm, steady even in heartbreak. Think of it like a soldier in battle. He cannot always choose the terrain. Sometimes he must wait in silence, hidden, alert, knowing the right moment will arrive. To rush forward blindly is to lose. To wait with strength, to trust the process, to endure with dignity, that is victory. Loving someone you can't be with is your battlefield, and patience is your weapon. You don't wait passively. You grow. You work. You sharpen your mind. You build your body. You expand your spirit. That is how you turn waiting into winning. Don't chase what runs. Don't beg for what's not yours. Be the man who trusts the timing of life. The oak tree does not demand the storm to end. It simply stands tall and lets the winds pass. You must do the same. This is not about fairy tales. Not every love story ends in wedding bells and happy endings. Sometimes, the lesson of love is not about keeping her, but about becoming the man who could, if the right woman appears. That is emotional maturity, and most men never reach it. Understand this. When you love someone you cannot have, you are building invisible muscles. You are proving you can master desire without letting it master you. And this is exactly what makes you a high-value man. Masculine energy is not about noise or chasing. It is about control, discipline, and the calm confidence that no matter what happens, you will not break. That kind of patience is magnetic. It will attract women naturally because true strength cannot be faked, and women sense it instantly. So embrace this truth. Don't despair if love slips through your fingers. Don't cling to what cannot stay. Be the man who accepts reality without bitterness, who waits without weakness, who grows even in heartbreak. That is rare. That is powerful. That is you. And if you find today's content very interesting, please give me a word of encouragement by commenting "very interesting" in the comments section. That is a huge motivation for us. Thank you. 6. Overcoming pain and loss. Loving someone you cannot be with cuts deeper than most wounds in life, yet it is also one of the greatest tests of your spirit. The pain is real, the longing is sharp, the loss feels unbearable, but this is precisely where your strength is forged. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That is what Old Stoic wisdom teaches us. Pain is inevitable, but surrender is not. You must face the ache head on, not as a victim, but as a warrior. You do not let sorrow consume you. You stand tall, you endure, you rise. This is Stoicism when in its purest form, accepting that the heart may break, but the iron mind refuses to collapse. That is what makes you rare. That is what makes you strong. Don't misunderstand. This is not about pretending the pain doesn't exist. Be real. Acknowledge it. Let it shape you, not destroy you. Seneca said, sometimes even to live is an act of courage. That act of courage is yours. You know loss, yet you continue to move forward. You feel the weight, but you refuse to bow under it. You understand that heartbreak is not the end. It is a passage, a transformation, a furnace where character is tempered. That is the mark of exceptional men, men who carry an iron mind and refuse to let despair write their story. In modern life, distractions are everywhere: work stress, financial pressure, broken relationships, endless comparisons on social media. Many men drown in these, escaping into numbness. Don't be one of them. Be the man who feels deeply but still commands himself. Be the man who walks forward with calm eyes and steady breath. This is how you live Stoicism, win every single day, by not being crushed by what you cannot control and instead mastering what you can yourself. Pain will always try to break you, but you must remind yourself that loss is not defeat. The rare man knows that the heart can ache, yet the spirit can still conquer. Let me be clear. Don't let rejection define you. Don't let loneliness weaken you. Don't let loss strip you of hope. Instead, turn every wound into wisdom, every scar into strength. You must walk through the fire with discipline, patience, and the unshakable belief that life still holds victory for you. That is Old Stoic wisdom alive in action. That is the path of the iron mind. Remember the words of Viktor Frankl, who survived unthinkable suffering. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. This is your challenge. You cannot always win the love you desire. You cannot always bend the world to your will, but you can always master your own heart. And when you do, you become unbreakable. That is rare. That is powerful. That is what makes a man unforgettable. So take the pain, carry it with honor, and rise above it. Make it fuel, not chains. Don't stop. Don't surrender. Don't let loss become your prison. Be the man who stands firm, who keeps walking, who chooses strength over despair. That is the true victory of Stoicism win. That is the iron mind at work. That is how you overcome pain and loss and how you turn heartbreak into your greatest triumph. 7. Self-reflection and personal growth. Loving someone you cannot be with is not just heartbreak. It's one of life's most powerful psychology tricks that forces you to grow, reflect, and evolve. Don't waste this pain. Don't see it only as loss. Be wise enough to see it as the mirror that shows you who you really are. Female psychology teaches us that longing reveals the depth of your masculine energy, and this is where you discover your true strength. That is why this kind of love, though distant, is not a curse but a test, a chance to stop running from yourself and finally face the truth of your values, your desires, and the kind of man you are becoming. When you ask yourself how to fall in love, the answer is not just about the other person. It's about learning how to fall in love with life, with yourself, and with the man you are building day by day. Don't collapse into despair. Don't bury yourself in false distractions. You must use this experience as fuel for your personal growth. Reflect on what you want, what you're capable of giving, and what you deserve. Through this process, you don't just survive, you evolve. You begin to recognize your own worth, your strengths, and even your weaknesses. And make no mistake, acknowledging your weaknesses is not defeat, it's clarity, and clarity is power. Be the man who grows stronger when tested. Be the man who can look at heartbreak and say, "This made me sharper, not weaker." Psychology tricks tell us that the ability to love someone without possession is rare because it requires emotional intelligence, patience, and resilience. Don't ignore that truth. It means you are rare. It means you carry the capacity for deeper connection, richer understanding, and greater self-awareness than most. Use this clarity to strengthen your masculine energy and to prepare yourself for healthier, more fulfilling relationships in the future. That is how you win, by refusing to be broken and choosing instead to be transformed. Female psychology reveals that women are instinctively drawn to men who stand strong in the face of difficulty, men who don't crumble but rise higher. If you can endure the fire of loving someone you cannot have, you prove that you are capable of being the high value man who naturally attracts women, not through tricks or appearances, but through the undeniable presence of strength, calm, and self mastery. Don't let this chapter close without taking the lessons it brings. Don't numb your heart, sharpen it. Don't drown in longing, rise in awareness. You must realize this is not just about them, it's about you. It's about becoming more emotionally intelligent, more self sufficient, and more capable of building something lasting when the right opportunity comes. When you learn how to fall in love in the right way, you understand that it's not about losing yourself in someone else, but about becoming a man so strong, so centered, so clear that love can only add to you, never diminish you. That is the transformation. That is the victory. The pain you feel today is the training ground of your character, and if you face it with courage, you will emerge not just as a man who loved, but as a man who became unbreakable because of it. If this message speaks to you, hit like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe for more wisdom. Comment to remember, growth begins when I learn to love myself first. 8. Choosing independence. When you love someone but cannot be with them, you enter one of the deepest lessons of life, the power of independence. This is not about pretending you don't care. It's about holding on to your identity and refusing to let love become a prison. A high-value man understands this truth. He knows that his worth is not defined by whether or not a woman stands by his side, but by the strength of his own character. That is why emotional independence is rare and powerful. It means you can feel the fire of desire and yet keep your balance. You must never let longing strip you of your center. Don't make the mistake of believing another person completes you. You are already whole. Your masculine energy flows from within, not from someone else's approval. Be firm in this. A man who can stand alone is the very man who can attract women without chasing them. Think about it. When you give up your independence, you hand over the key to your happiness. You allow your mood, your strength, even your self-worth to swing like a pendulum in someone else's hands. That is weakness, not love. Independence is not about shutting people out. It is about keeping your roots deep so no storm can uproot you. A tree with strong roots can still bend, but it will never break. That is emotional maturity. That is real power. And when you live this way, you don't just love, you inspire respect. Women are drawn to men who radiate this kind of quiet strength. Female psychology responds not to desperation, but to dignity. One of the greatest psychology tricks in attraction is this: when you don't need her, you become 10 times more magnetic. Why? Because you stand in your own light. Because you embody masculine energy that cannot be shaken. You must remember, independence does not mean indifference. It is possible to love deeply, to care fiercely, and still refuse to lose yourself. In fact, that balance is what makes you rare. Most men drown in their emotions, hoping someone will throw them a lifeline. But a high-value man knows how to swim on his own. He doesn't cling. He doesn't beg. He stands tall, even in heartbreak. That's what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. To love someone you cannot be with and still remain whole, that is mastery. That is victory. Don't see it as punishment. See it as training. Pain is the teacher. Independence is the reward. Look at history. Great men were not defined by who loved them back, but by how they carried themselves when love was denied. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Apply this truth to love. You cannot control her choices, but you can control your own soul. You cannot force her to stay, but you can refuse to collapse when she leaves. That is what makes you unshakable. That is what makes you unforgettable. Women sense it. They may not always put it into words, but they feel it. And this is how you attract women, not with gifts, not with desperate gestures, but with an aura of masculine energy that says, "I am whole. I am enough. I do not need you to define me." So choose independence. Be the man who loves, but never loses himself. Be the man who can give without chains, who can feel without crumbling. Don't forget, happiness is not handed to you by another. It is built within you, brick by brick, through strength, resilience, and wisdom. Independence is not a wall, it is a foundation. Build it strong, and you will not only endure heartbreak, you will rise above it. That is the rare personality the world admires. That is the high value man every woman secretly longs for, because he is a man she can respect, a man she can trust, a man she cannot ignore. 9. Unconditional love. Unconditional love is the highest test of a man's strength. When you love someone you cannot be with, you are forced to confront the purest form of love, love that expects nothing, demands nothing, and simply exists because of who they are. That is rare. That is powerful. And that is the mark of an iron mind. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When your thoughts remain rooted in care, loyalty, and compassion, even without reward, you embody the very essence of Old Stoic wisdom. Don't see this kind of love as weakness. It is a demonstration of your emotional mastery. It shows you are not controlled by desire, but rather you control it. This is Stoicism win in action, the ability to feel deeply yet remain unshaken by circumstance. Think about modern life. Most people today chase after relationships like trophies, wanting constant validation, attention, or personal gain. But you, if you have loved without the possibility of return, stand apart. You prove that love can exist without possession. You reveal that strength is not about control, but about release. That is rare. That is noble. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." By choosing unconditional love, you choose freedom. You refuse to let resentment or disappointment chain you. You walk forward with an open heart, unburdened. That is the mindset of an iron mind. That is how a man turns pain into power. Don't underestimate the significance of this. To love unconditionally is to operate on a higher plane than most. You care not for what you receive, but for what you give. You give peace. You give respect. You give love. That reveals strength greater than desire. That proves you can rise above the noise of the world. That is Stoicism win. Many men crumble when denied what they want. They sulk, they rage, they collapse. But you must not. You must stand tall. You must carry yourself with discipline, with dignity, with masculine clarity. That is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Epictetus taught, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your reaction, to love without expectation, is the very thing that proves your greatness. In modern life, unconditional love becomes a secret weapon. It protects your energy. It sharpens your spirit. It allows you to move forward without bitterness. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start declaring, "I am strong enough to love and strong enough to let go." Don't cling to what cannot be. Don't poison yourself with resentment. Don't chase shadows. Instead, stand in the light of your own strength. Recognize that your ability to love without return is a reflection of Old Stoic wisdom. This is the iron mind forged in fire. This is how a man wins, by mastering himself, not by conquering another. That is Stoicism win. Remember this truth. Loving someone you cannot be with doesn't make you weak. It makes you rare. It makes you powerful. It proves you are capable of emotional depth most men will never know. So embrace it. Own it. Let it transform you into a man who loves without chains, who stands without fear, and who moves through life with unshakable peace. Be that man, live with unconditional love, with an iron mind, and with the timeless strength of Old Stoic wisdom guiding your every step. 10. Letting go and accepting reality. Letting go and accepting reality is one of the hardest lessons a man can learn, but it is also one of the most powerful psychology tricks you can master because it teaches you control over yourself instead of desperate attachment to someone else. And that is where true masculine energy is born. When you love someone you cannot be with, it is tempting to cling, to chase, to force a bond that isn't meant to exist. But don't do it, because the more you hold on to something that does not belong to you, the more you weaken your spirit and lose your dignity. And a high-value man never begs, never clings, never compromises his worth for temporary comfort. Instead, he accepts the truth with strength. He mourns the dream with courage. And he releases it with grace, knowing that letting go is not the end of love, but the beginning of freedom. And female psychology itself respects a man who has the ability to accept reality rather than drown in illusions, because women are attracted to power, clarity, and self respect, not weakness and desperation. You must understand that love does not die when you let go. Love changes form, it matures, it sharpens you like fire tempers steel, and what you gain is not less but more. You gain inner space, emotional strength, and a new capacity to build something even greater, because acceptance is not defeat. Acceptance is victory over illusions, and illusions are the chains that keep most men enslaved to the past. Break them, and you rise. You become rare, you become strong. Don't think of letting go as abandoning someone. Think of it as honoring both them and yourself, because to hold on when destiny has already spoken is selfish. But to release them with respect is the mark of a wise man, and wisdom is irresistible. In female psychology, wisdom and restraint signal emotional mastery, and that is one of the greatest psychology tricks for how to fall in love again without bitterness, without scars, and with greater power than before. Be disciplined with your emotions, because if you are ruled by longing, you will destroy yourself. But if you rule over longing, you become unshakable. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this." And you will find strength, and this truth applies here. She may not be yours. The relationship may never happen, but your strength, your discipline, your self-respect are always yours, and no one can take them away unless you give them up willingly. That is why letting go is not just a personal decision. It is a rite of passage into becoming a high-value man, a man who does not need to prove himself by clinging, but proves himself by standing tall even in heartbreak, a man who turns pain into power, who uses rejection as redirection, and who knows that life always opens new doors when one closes. Don't forget, the ability to let go with dignity is a sign of depth, patience, and rare emotional intelligence. And in the modern world, where so many men collapse under the weight of broken love, your ability to accept reality will set you apart. It will make you stand out, and it will give you the quiet authority that attracts women naturally, because they can sense when a man is free from desperation, when he is strong enough to love without needing to possess, when he is wise enough to release without resentment. So embrace this truth. Letting go is not weakness. Letting go is mastery. It is the final proof that you control your heart instead of being controlled by it. And once you learn this, you don't just know how to fall in love, you know how to live with power, clarity, and unshakable masculine energy. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end of this video, my friend. Loving someone you cannot be with is not a weakness, it's a rare strength. Don't see it as a wound, see it as proof that your heart is capable of real depth, patience, and resilience. Be proud of the way you can love, even when it hurts, because that kind of love shapes you into a stronger, wiser, and more compassionate man. My advice is simple. Don't run from this experience. Embrace it, learn from it, and let it guide you to healthier and more fulfilling relationships ahead. If this message spoke to you, I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. And don't forget, subscribe so we can keep walking this journey of growth, psychology, and understanding together. Stay strong, stay wise, and take care.